Hello, welcome to Love Food Hate Money. My understanding is there's going to be some first timers and welcome backs. I'll keep it short and sweet for the welcome back so you don't have to hear the whole rigmarole. Where this is the podcast where we're going to talk about how much Courtney and I love food and hate money in the process of it. I'm one of your hosts, Jonah. This is Courtney.
Hey.
And let's jump right in with the drink this evening. We are having 2021 Dos Cabezas sparkling pink can. It's a fun wine, seasonal release. It sells out real fast after they release it, and it's delicious. You can take it with you at all parks and stuff like that because it's in a can. That's fun. Canned wine's great.
This is what when someone says crushable wine, like this is what I think of. Like I could get hammer-wasted on this wine really fast.
Because you like crushing cans against your head.
Yeah, because I'm a maniac.
Yeah, true. Those drunken rages where you're smashing cans. Not confused with
I would get so injured.
I think if you try to smash a can against your head, that would be
a bad time. A hospital visit, probably.
You probably concuss yourself.
So you had an update for us from a long time ago, episode 1.
So many moons. So we recently got Discovery Plus. Shout out Discovery Plus. And we've been going through all of their random Food Network shows and stuff like that because we talked about it a little bit. Like we both grew up watching that stuff, so it's been nice and nostalgic.
The classics.
Greatest hits, baby, especially Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, which I've watched 5 seasons of in a week.
Yeah, literally.
The fact that I can fall asleep to that as background noise, I think, is kind of bad. That means it's just like Guy Fieri whispering sweet nothings in my dreams.
What more could you want, though? I mean, honestly.
Taking me on a trip to Flavor Town. But yeah, in season 3, episode 2, we talked a little bit about how I started talking on food radio shows as a kid. And we're watching this show, and they're in Arizona, and I was like, oh, I've heard of Deep Hits again. Like, I went there, like, during radio remotes, and you were like, oh, like, that's cool enough. And then in the background, because we were eating while it was on, I heard a voice, and I was like, wait, what? No. And it was Kim and Don were on the actual, like, Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives episode. So if anyone is curious what they look like...
What they looked like. That was a while ago.
Yeah.
Was it 2007 or 2008? I
think it was 2007.
Oof.
So time has passed. Gets the point across.
Well, and we looked them up too because they had a Facebook page. It was all that was basically left of the radio show, and they haven't been active since 2015. So if anybody knows where Kim and Don is, we care deeply about their safety.
You're gonna put them on the milk carton boxes. Do you think they actually caught any children?
Did they catch any children?
Yeah, if you put pictures of a child on a milk box, did they catch them? Were they ever not missing?
We need to unpack that at a later time. I don't think you understand what the point of that was.
Well, so you could find them.
Yeah, not catch them?
They've been found and they've been caught. I've played games.
I don't know what the success rate of that was, to be honest. That's a great question. We'll have to look that up. But this was a big weekend for us.
Been together a long time, baby.
So this weekend we celebrated our 7th wedding anniversary. We're coming up on being together for 9 years, which is it's too long.
A long time. We've done a lot of things. We've had a lot of food and we've spent a lot of money.
We spent a lot of money this weekend. We thought it would be fun this time around to talk about celebration meals because I think anniversaries are a good time to spend way too much freaking money on eating out.
That's been our history.
All but 1 year.
That was last year too, which I think is funny.
I think we'll kind of go back through like where we've eaten for our anniversary. We will leave out one because the meal was bad and I don't want to like
Let's not put shame on the local people.
Yeah.
Also, we'll reference like the gist of it and why we didn't enjoy it.
Right. Like it wasn't like they didn't try to serve us good food. It's just...
They might not have. That may have been the problem, though.
It was not up to our expectations, and that's always a hard thing. But Year one, we were gonna do 50 and 50.
The 50 and 50 goal.
That failed miserably.
We did good 1 year. We had a 100% success rate, and then
and then
immediate failure.
no. So 50 and 50 was gonna be every year for anniversary. We were gonna go to a new state.
hmm
And that was going to be it. We were going to be married for 50 years. After that, we were going to be like, that's it. We've done it.
Been fun.
We've seen it all.
The joke is over.
No U.S. territories. Those don't count.
They don't get to vote.
Political hot takes.
Political hot takes.
So our first year.
Doesn't even go here.
Our first anniversary, we went to New Mexico. And I remember when we were planning that trip, everyone was like, ew. Why do you want to go there? That's so gross.
That's a bad place. They talked about it like the Shadowlands in Lion King. Like the entire state was where the light did not touch.
And I'm like, we live in Arizona already. Like, New Mexico can't be worse. I think they're still ahead of us in education, actually. So if anything, they're better than us.
At least smarter. But not smarter than a 5th grader.
So we ended up going to a restaurant called Farm and Table, which was, I remember the food being really good. Even though that was forever and a half ago. And it was a super cute location. It was a restaurant on a farm. But one of the things that made that meal so memorable is that we would have been 20, both of us at the time. And because we got married as babies at 19.
As one is to do in the church.
And I remember the server was just treating us like babies. And like, that's such a pet peeve for me when like the server profiles you before you've even like open your mouth. And like for you as a server, is that something that you've done?
So no, like I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. It's usually they have to open their mouth first before I'm like, here we go.
They have to order some wrestling.
You know, you order the wrestling, or I guess there's a few like cues where you can be like, well, this is not going to go well. Like if they come in and like the kid is on the iPad and just kind of like swaying back and forth and like already making a show out of it, usually I'm like, well, this is not going to be the easiest table to serve in a fine dining context. But I feel like for the most part, like there are very few and far between moments where there's going to be people that are going to spend that much more money. So like treat them all well.
Right.
And also like don't treat people well because they're going to spend money.
Yeah, it's just common decency. Just like do your job well all the time? ?
Maybe. I do remember him being like, the children have come out to dinner. They're just sitting there like, hi.
Well, and it was so awkward too, because I think at that time when I had made the reservation, like I had said it was our anniversary.
He's like, oh, it's their anniversary of dating for 1 week. Roughly was, yeah.
And I remember, I was thinking about this the other day, the reason that the service like changed in the middle of the meal was you had like pointed out like a typo on the menu about the spelling of whatever kind of pork there was. And like from there he was like, oh, these are food people. And I was like,
I have to be nice to this nerd.
He's like, why do we have to prove ourselves to you, person?
That was a good meal. I remember the pork there being very good.
I pulled up their menu today. They still have like a pork chop on the menu. I don't think it's the exact same thing that we had.
Funny because that's what we just had most recently. So I'm pretty sure that our anniversary meal is just overpriced pork chops. That's the only common thread.
And then the second year we went to a restaurant that does not exist anymore.
RIP.
And that restaurant specifically was a go-to spot for us for a long time, and to the point where I ended up working there on weekends for a little bit until it closed due to unfortunate circumstances.
Yes, not having money is an unfortunate circumstance when you're a business.
Not paying your staff and doing your taxes is an unfortunate.
Doing taxes is helpful.
Yeah.
It was not for them.
But I remember like that meal was obviously like one of our favorites because we kept going back there and we became good friends with the bartenders, and like we were there probably 4 nights a week when we worked our office jobs.
That was like would be an exceptional week if we were there 4 times, but at least 2.
Yeah.
I feel like we were never there 4 times a week consistently. But that was a good spot. It's where we learned all about cocktails and cocktail bar culture, and that was like our spot.
Mm-hmm. We've got to see 3, but one of them has already left the industry, but 2 really fantastic bartenders, like, really lean into it and, like, hit their stride as far as, like, the Arizona scene, and, like,
Hmm.
seeing them kind of move on and what they've done in their careers has been really fun. I'm hoping we can get both of them to come on the show at some point.
Talked to them about cocktails and what it was like to work at a place that didn't pay their taxes.
So the 3rd year, we got back on track for Gifford 50 and 50. We went to Vegas, and that was the first time we had been to Vegas.
Bright lights,
And
big city, baby.
we were 21 finally.
Yes.
Um,
I liked going there because that's where the Taco Bell cantina was, and you got to get the alcoholic Baja Blast Freezy in the yard that we had, like, as a memento for years for no reason other than it was a yard from a Taco Bell, and that's a thing to have.
Nothing is more confusing to me than a Taco Bell that has a live DJ. That was really deeply upsetting to me.
It was loud. That place was off the rails.
But we ate at a lot of great restaurants on that trip, but specifically on our anniversary, we ate at Morimoto's restaurant.
Hmm.
I don't remember what hotel that's in. Is it the MGM Grand?
I think so.
I don't remember, but the meal was great. Like, I think I was a little hesitant to go eat like the chef name resort restaurants because there's a little bit of a like, if the chef's not there, can they actually like cook to their standards?
Sure. And also, like, it's just slapping a brand attached to it, and that's not exactly good food make.
Right. But I would say, like, I was really impressed. I thought that was a great meal.
Yeah, I don't remember anything like specific that we had.
The one that stands out for me was the pork belly and the congee. That was a really great dish.
Pork again, baby. Bunch of pig people.
I didn't make that connection. That's really funny. That was also the first time we had been served the chocolate dome with the fire alcohol to burn it for dessert.
Oh yeah.
And that's, to me, is such a comical dessert because it's just show. It does not add any good flavor.
Flair's flavor. That's
Really?
the motto, baby. Flair's flavor.
So you're really into TGI Fridays, like bartending then?
Yes. TGI Fridays speed bartending is the way.
It's the flair that you savor?
The flavor. The flavor.
Oh my God. So that was a really good one.
Yeah.
That trip was also really fun because we ate at Momofuku in the Cosmopolitan.
Mm-hmm. And Milk Bar.
But we were talking to the staff at Momofuku, and we were like, so what's Dave really like? And they were like, the guy's a maniac.
Which is to be expected. I expected nothing less.
Yeah, like that is when somebody is that well known and like has worked as hard as they have to get somewhere. Like, yeah, I think they get a little bit of license to be an asshole and make sure that their food is being served the way they want it to.
Wonder how helpful that is.
I don't think it's ever helpful to be an ass to your staff.
I hope not, but I mean, it had to have been effective at one point because, like, that's what the industry is based on. Is if I yell at you louder, then you will go faster.
If I throw this hot saute pan at you, you will probably respect me more.
Pretty respectable thing.
Violence.
Assault and the flaming hot pan.
So at this point, that puts us at 2019. So the last year before the Great War.
The lost year, baby.
This is the one we're not going to name. It is a local restaurant, and it's been around for a long time.
I mean, I feel like it opened in the 2010s. I don't feel like it was that.
Oh, yeah? Well, we have Google, so we can know.
Well, you can work on that, and I'll talk about it in a little bit.
Okay.
It was I can't remember like how we came across and decided like this is the spot, but it was
2001.
2001. Oh wow,
it's a long time.
Hashtag never forget. It was a steakhouse,
but it had a tasting menu.
It was a steakhouse with a tasting menu. And we were like, this is it, and we'd heard a lot of good things about it, and it was all food. It was probably like the least.
It closed in 2019.
Oh, well, she gone. It wasn't even the pandemic that killed her.
That's really funny.
Well, still won't name names in case
I don't
we
think
hurt
it's
their
fair to
feelings.
like just smash somebody's legacy because we didn't have one good meal. Like if we'd eaten there a dozen times, it was always bad. Like I feel like that gives you some license, but like
I remember getting like a weird seafood tower that was like
so many flowers.
there was a lot of edible flowers or not edible flowers. I don't even know. It was obnoxious and too showy, no substance.
Yes.
They did not have the flavor.
The flavor. Yeah, and then that one, I think the roughest part of that meal was the pasta course. I remember the pasta being underdone, and I want to say it was served with like bison, and it was
I
like
remember it being bad. I don't remember there being protein.
maybe there wasn't. I know we had a meat course that was like bison or buffalo, but the pasta was undercooked and it had no seasoning, and it was just such a bummer because we had really like built that place up in our minds, and then
That one probably delivered the least in regards to value, where we were just like, all right, we saved up our money, we're gonna have an extra expensive celebration meal. And we did it, and we were like, well, that was like 50 happy incidents at Taco Bell that we just squandered.
yeah, as far as meals, I think that was probably what $250 for the both of us with tip, which still doesn't top our list for most expensive anniversary meal.
No, that was the most recent one.
But before we get to that one, there's two more.
Mm-hmm.
So 2020, our anniversary is in April, so nothing's open. Fortunately, we live down the street from a fantastic restaurant called Ghost Ranch,
Mm-hmm.
and they were doing takeout, and we got really awesome burgers. And I would say, as far as value goes, that was our best.
That one was great because they were also able to do to-go alcohol sales here in the desert, and so they have had great frosé, so we got like a 32-ounce styrofoam cup a la New Orleans of
Lushy goodness.
freezy alcohol, and it was a great meal. Their burgers
So
were
good.
comically good
fries were so
considering
good.
it was is a like Southwest food restaurant where there are like tacos and quesadillas and all of these like tasty Mexican food plates, and then I was like, yep, the burger though.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we got takeout from them probably like 5 or 6 times during that like first 6 months of the pandemic.
Yeah, like a once a month thing. That was good.
So good. And then this one cracked me up because for 2021, I was like, where did we go? Like, I don't remember. And I was going back through my Instagram because that's how I keep track of everything, is like I just post it on there as like a journal. Like, I don't really care if anybody pays attention to it. I'm just
Dear
like,
diary.
this is what
that
we
everyone
ate.
sees.
If you care, I don't know. But I made chicken parmesan at home.
That was good.
That same month, like 3 or 4 days before our anniversary, we ate at Shift up in Flagstaff.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great meal, and that was not cheap. And then later, I want to say it was like the end of April or the first week of May, we also ate at Kai, which is not a cheap meal. So I think it was appropriate that we stayed home and had chicken parmesan.
And then we had to stay home and eat chicken parmesan a lot more often.
And then we also went to Platform 18.
Yeah.
We saved up all our food monies and we got cocktails.
Cocktails instead. 90-minute slapstick. I think that the Centric Grand Building is a good concept, but it is terrible because it definitely encourages drinking hard and fast.
Yeah, because with that time limit, you're like, well, shit, I gotta drink as much and try as much as I can.
I would like to have everything, so I'm going to drink a cocktail every 20 minutes.
But their drinks are great. I love the attention to detail in their concepts. It's just so beautiful and such a fun experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us to last night.
It was a good meal.
It was a great meal. So we went and tried a spot that it's new-ish. I think it's been open maybe a month,
A couple months, I think, but yeah, it's still
but
newer.
new to us. We went to Sotis, which is another restaurant by the people who did Restaurant Progress, which is one of my favorites. I think their food is just phenomenal.
I feel like we've gone to there on Valentine's. Like that's another spot that we go to for like occasions.
Oh yeah. So that's the one where bad things happened to me afterwards. Do you remember?
No.
So the last time we ate at Progress, we ordered almost the whole menu. Like I think it was 3 of us. I think we
Oh
spent
yeah.
probably like $600.
Hmm,
And
hmm.
afterwards we stopped at a store to pick something up, and I was like, I need to go to the bathroom. And I did not tell you why.
I do
And
remember
unfortunately, when you eat that much and you drink that much,
drinks.
sometimes it comes back up. And do you remember what I said to you?
Yeah, because we had foie in that meal.
Foie and caviar and champagne and uni.
And it was very rich. And you just, when you actually told me what was going on, you're just like, I'm a fat goose.
I was so disappointed in myself that I threw up that much money.
Love food, throw up money.
That's the spin-off show.
That was a lot. I mean, I almost did that yesterday, though. We were excessive.
So Sotis, I think, again, we got pretty close to half the menu.
Which for 2 people is too much, in case anyone's keeping score.
Well, it doesn't help that we ate like 2 loaves of bread just to kick off the meal.
Yeah, we started off each with our own baguette, as one is to do.
We did that. Their tartare was phenomenal. We did
They did have a good amount of acid and like caber brine inside of the actual like tartare mixture, so it was super rich and acidic, and it went great with the quarter of my baguette.
You had the deviled eggs.
Yes.
We did the escargot.
Which it was funny because before we went there, I was hanging out with a friend in the morning, and we were talking about like the meal. So we looked up the menu and saw the deviled eggs, and we were like trying to figure out like how are they serving deviled eggs? And then like there was a picture of it on the website, and it was 3 halves, which made me laugh because like you have to serve odd numbers on the plate like that. Like you don't want
that's
4
art.
deviled eggs, but then like there's 1/2 of a deviled egg out there, and the 1/8 are just without its friend. And there was something really dumb about that made me happy. Where it's just he lost his friend.
Yeah. And then for me, I think the standout of the meal, and maybe this isn't like says too much about me, but the onion soup, or most people know it as French onion soup, but it was a French restaurant, so they didn't need to clarify that.
It was just soup.
But it was just like the most perfect version of onion soup, and it just made me so happy.
It was very good. It was very rich and sweet and cheesy.
That's good stuff. And then
the cocktails, I like the spot because they have the like aperitif program. So they're like half-size cocktails with low ABV that were like $6 as like just a way to start the meal. I almost wish we had ordered more of them as like intermezzos. Not that we needed more, but
yeah, we did fine getting to about $400 without adding more drinks.
We spent enough there that they sent us out a quote Sotis moment, which was just like, here's a digestif. Thanks for spending a lot of money, which was nice.
Well, and also like our server was like super fun. Like he was super nice, and like he caught on really fast to what we were doing and what we were about.
Lots of eating.
And it was funny too because we sat on the patio, which was gorgeous for the weather right now.
But it's a perfect evening.
It's a tiny little like bistro table. And trying to navigate that table was pretty intense.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of plates on probably a table that was like a diameter of 2 feet.
It reminded me of just like a serving tray.
I've definitely had to carry larger serving trays, like when I worked at the hotel or like any of the
Any banquet service, you're gonna have a
banquet
bigger
service with
tray.
those large ovals. Like that large oval is larger than the table we were sitting at, and I think we
Yeah.
ordered like 8 dishes that came out over 4.5 courses because that's just what there was space
There was
for.
room
Because we had
for.
cocktails glasses and we had wine glasses and we had 2 different water bottles and water glasses.
We were having a good time though. It was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the really cool things that I don't think I've seen another restaurant do, at least recently, is the Sunday roast where they had like a wood fire set up out front where it was like, here's this meat menu. And so of course we got a pork chop.
Pork chops, baby. If
Which
you look at a pork chop and don't think that's a nice celebration meal, you're missing out.
and then of course we had to get the croque madame, which is just
That was good. That was super salty.
so good. I really love food that's like salted within an inch of its life. Like that's perfect for me. Like when I eat at a restaurant, that's what I want to eat is like this is seasoned to a T.
Mm-hmm.
And that sandwich was it for me. And then eating half of it left over this morning while we were hungover was the right call.
Yes, because then we went from there and we went out to a cocktail bar, and then we went from the cocktail bar to a wine bar. And then at the wine bar, we were just going to hang out for a moment, and then
Things got it crazy.
we had a friend that was like, that moment's going to last a little bit longer now.
But I think as far as that cocktail bar, Claw, I think we'll have to take more time to talk about it because of what they're doing is really exciting and their drinks are so good.
Mm-hmm. They did an excellent job across the board. And again, cool people.
I think that's what makes it for me. Like now when we go out, like there's a lot of foods at this point where I'm like, oh, I can make a version of this at home that will scratch the itch. But I think going out and having the great service is like why it's fun to go out.
Yeah, I think that we're at a point in the industry. It was interesting because I was talking with one of the owners of the restaurant that I work at, and he was talking about how, for the first 15 years of his career, it was being hyper aware of everything that's going on around and like everything that's going wrong more so than anything, like
Sure.
not being able to enjoy a meal because they're doing XYZ part of the process wrong. But you get to a point where you just like mellow out about it. And I think that's like the sweet spot where it's just like, no, I'm there to have the meal with the person I'm there with, or like the company. Like I'm there to enjoy the company, and it's nice to have great food and drinks with company.
Yeah. It's about pouring the cava.
All about the cava. But like it's about the actual
community aspect.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the point where I don't notice things are wrong. I feel like I've done a pretty good job. Like there's a real thing of being in the industry and just like, oh, this was done wrong. Oh, they could have done that better.
Oh yeah, and just seeing all the like the steps of service flaws or the way this was plated would make more sense if it was this or this was under seasoned or this was over seasoned. I think we're very attuned to those things, but when you can just go somewhere and just enjoy it, like that's a restaurant that's like doing the work.
Go, let it go.
Copyright.
So I can say that chili slaps, but I can't sing a mouse song.
No mouse songs on this podcast.
That makes a lot of sense. Good thing I don't think I sang it even to the correct tempo or tune. So
you have to sing it the way your grandpa sings it.
Let it happen. Let it happen.
But I think I'm really excited about being through the pandemic because I mean we've had a lot of anniversaries in the pandemic, and now that we're on the other side of that, it's like, let's go. We can get back on track for 50 and 60 maybe.
At this point, it's gonna have to be like 50 and 20 because they're just gonna have to hit multiple states during different portions, and also are more of summer trip people just because of the way that
with the way the industry works, especially in Arizona being snowbird territory. You got to travel when it's hot here because nobody wants to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Which turns out we might be going to Thailand this summer because I was drunk and almost bought tickets last night.
Yes, it was funny because you were like, no, those tickets are expensive. And I was like, yeah, but lodging's gonna be like cheaper than going to anywhere in the United States. And then you're like, we can stay at a 5-star hotel for $30 a night.
Yeah. So we'll see where we end up on that because we talked about New York this summer. We talked about Portland. We talked about Chicago because we have friends in all those places. But
And all those places are good food cities. And since we're food tourists,
that's the only thing we care about. We could care less about sightseeing. That's not what we're going for.
I care about sightseeing, but I do want to eat the site.
Eat it on site.
On site, baby.
So I guess we'll see where we end up on that. I think that'll be really fun as we plan our vacation this summer and where we end up.
Hopefully, we get a couple stories out of it.
If anything, we'll spend too much money.
Yes. And on that note, I think the last table is getting up. So it's time to start stacking chairs and get out of this restaurant.
Is this a restaurant or church?
You know, it's funny, the same energy.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Although the churches definitely pay less.
Just saying something. But yeah, I think we're good to go. I think we get to lock up.
That puts us all in for the night. It's at the last table, and now it's just time to keep rolling on. So we're gonna get out of here and look forward to hopefully seeing you all again at some point in the future. Thank you for listening.
This has been Love Food, Hate Money. Bye.
Bye.
This podcast has original music and editing done by John Watkins of Feathered Fiction Studios. Thanks, John.
Thank you.